Hello guys, and welcome to a new Star Division Normandy 44 video today by me, Vulcan. I'm going to be playing a 4 versus 4 on none other than Odon, of course, and in this one I'm going to be using the Demi Brigade SAS. Yes, that's right guys, we're in Star Division Normandy 44 once again, and this was a game that was played as part of my 10-year anniversary subathon stream. We managed to get a game together with 8 players in a 4v4, and I wanted to show it off and kind of talk about Star Division Normandy 44. It's been a long time since I put Star Division Normandy 44 content on the channel. So, how's Star Division Normandy 44 these days? Well, the player base is really quite low. The single player doesn't really offer much replayability, although it is still good fun. But yeah, the multiplayer has definitely suffered with player numbers, and these days if you really want to get a game, you're probably better off trying to find some friends or jumping on one of the Star Division Discords, or the Eugen official Discord for example, to ask for people to play with, because there are still people who really enjoy this game, and I would say I'm one of them, and plenty of the people playing here also very much enjoy this game. So let's have a quick look at the units. Got my classic B1 here. I've got some of these half tracks with my partisans in there. We've also got the 20mm up here. We've got an AT gun. I've got a bunch of these partisans moving forwards. These guys have Panzerfaust. Then I've got a mortar in there as well. I wasn't quite sure what's in these. In Star Division Normandy 44, it doesn't tell you what's in the vehicle. It's quite funny how far the game has come if you compare it to like Star Division 2. Like Star Division 2's got so many different features, like I can hide the replay thing, for example, instead of having to hide it behind a banner at the bottom of the screen. I can see what's in the different transports without having to unload them. There's a bunch of things like quality of life wise that have been introduced since Star Division Normandy 44, and it's only when you play Star Division Normandy 44 you realise, yeah, exactly how far Star Division has come from then. You know, Star Division Normandy 44 obviously introduced the deck system that now Eugen use in both Star Division 2 and Warno, for example. There's a lot of things that, you know, started in Star Division Normandy 44 that are now sort of the basis for future games, and it's nice to come back to it and see where it was back then. It's still kind of beautiful as ever. The models maybe not as detailed as they are in Star Division 2, but still look really nice. And yeah, the graphics in general are fun to look at still. Anyway, as you can see, I have spotted a few units here. We do have the Panzer 35Ss of J-Dog heading my way, and I'm going to try and ambush them with my FFI partisans, but the partisans actually miss their first weapon here, the Panzerfaust 60, and they swiftly go down. B1 is engaging the UE 630 pack. The engagement ranges on this game are a lot shorter than that in Star Division 2. The 1,000 meter range on the main gun, which would probably be the same in Star Division 2, but here my F5 partisans do manage to ambush the Jeep there, but are going to get taken out by that rather large squad of infantry. So F5 rallies, that was what was in the half tracks, so got them now heading forwards. They are getting the veterancy, of course, from the B1 BIS. Having an abundance of leaders wasn't really something that was too prevalent in Star Division Normandy 44. Particular divisions kind of relied very much on either like armor leaders as opposed to like infantry leaders, or vice versa, because you were very kind of much more limited back then, like in Star Division Normandy 44, as you were in Star Division 2 nowadays. So there is that. I've got my Western Lysander coming in. Managed to get a nice sneaky kill there onto the Panther 35 as well. These FFI partisans are really fun to use because they actually kind of act like resistance fighters in a lot of ways. B1's still trying to find kills. Unfortunately, my rally is getting chewed up by machine gun fire as they go into the open. Being in cover is super important in this game. If you get caught out in the open, you get chunked real fast with your infantry. But D520 coming in here to engage my Western Lysander. I do have the 25mm AT gun, or AA gun, sorry, so it is kind of forcing that back, and I am going to be bringing in a Tempest to try and help us out here as well. WW2 comes in, gets strafed by the Spitfire Mark 9. Meanwhile, Tempest does shoot down the D520, is going to go for the Ju-87 as well, and we're going to be able to take that down. These Tempests were fantastic back in the day, and they still are in this game. B1, really good at dealing with infantry, since it does have its HE on the front, like its big old howitzer here, plus its machine guns and its main gun. So one of those squads get chunked really hard. I also had the 2-inch mortar carrier, or the mortar, not mortar carrier, but just 2-inch mortar, mortaring those guys to help us out with the engagement with the F5 rallies. We saw the rockets coming earlier. That was from the WW2 back here. But we're going to be losing line of sight on a lot of that stuff now, since my recon plane has been forced back. Right, Panzer IV now on the field. The FFI Panzer IV. Very cool. Moving that into position. The infantry is going to get pinned down by the WW2. The WW2, though, never was really that good at doing damage. Like, if it direct hit, sure, it did a little bit of damage, but not really that much. Like, per rocket, it was probably like 1 or 2 damage on an infantry squad. D1, though, still trying to get shots onto the pack. Struggling, though. One thing that was definitely noticeable to me when I was playing this game was how the accuracy differs from Steel Division 2. Like, lethality is actually quite high still at close range, at super close range, but at longer ranges it's a lot less, because it takes way more shots to get on target. Panzer IV is going to be zooming over here. We've got it fast moving, and then we're going to be attack moving around the corner so that I can engage any vehicles that are in line of sight here. Meanwhile, my 2-inch mortar is currently trying to counter battery the WW2, and that was a nice kill there onto the 630 pack. Squeezing around the corner, looking for another U-304. Managed to find the kill. This does have 6 accuracy. I think this accuracy is based on percentage, so like it's 5% per number, I think, maybe? I'm not entirely sure. But at this range, pretty high accuracy. So the pack there gonna get slammed, and we're gonna be able to take that out. So doing well to get across here. Another thing that differs from Steel Division 2 to Steel Division Normandy 44, of course, is how you win. Now, I set this game to a 60-minute time limit. Usually, Steel Division Normandy 44 is played around a 40-minute time limit, so that was my bad. I just didn't remember how long the average game was. But basically, we've got 60 minutes on the clock, and how you win is you own more territory than your enemy. There's no flags on the map, right? So it's all pretty much based on positioning. You have to kind of cover the entire front line, because something like this, where a huge salient comes through, will lose you quite a lot of ground. You see that we were at a +1 on the 52% map control, and now since they've taken this salient on the left-hand side, that's kind of cancelled out some of our advantage that we had. IG-18 on the field. IG-18s were pretty scary in Steel Division Normandy 44, but thankfully my B1 is perfect for killing them. Like the HE on that, able to just annihilate the crew. It's great stuff. And tanks, or sorry, machine guns can engage each other here. I think if a vehicle has like lower than 3 armor, it could be engaged by like MGs or 50 cals. So in this case, both of these firing at each other, and over time they will eventually kill each other, but it does take quite a while. The Infantry are coming down again. Left side is struggling. But Forest going to be sending more reinforcements over here to try and hold back these Lukes. These 2-star Lukes were really scary back in the day. They belong to the 2nd Panzer, I believe it is. And they can just delete infantry. I might be wrong on that. 9th Panzer, there we go. It wasn't showing up properly. But yeah, the 9th Panzer, they have these like high veterancy Panzer IIs, and they can just rip infantry. And getting infantry AT close enough to do damage, if it's not a Panzerschreck, is actually quite difficult. They're struggling here as all the Panzer 35 start engaging the Panzer IV, and well, since it got pinned down by the Wildfachwerfer, it was falling back, got side shot, and yeah, pretty rough stuff. In this game, pinning down enemy tanks and forcing them to fall back and then killing them is a very good way to deal with them. Because if they're not pinned down, then things like AT guns at close range will actually die very fast. I managed to get the flat kill there, which was good. But look how quickly this starts getting shot up. All of the units here from J-Dog start aiming at it. And that's going to have to do a runner. Going to be sending a Panzer III over to the left-hand side. This is one thing that I always really liked about Steel Division Normandy 44, is it definitely encouraged you to use vehicles that were like generically weaker than, like, say, your standard sort of Shermans and stuff. So in this case, I'm obviously using Panzer IIIs, like J-Dog's using Panzer 35Ss. And as the game obviously progresses, you get better tanks. And it was always nice how well balanced Steel Division Normandy 44 was around being forced to use like light vehicles in the early game and then heavier tanks in the later game. Like, I always thought that Steel Division Normandy 44 did that really well compared to Steel Division 2. Like, Steel Division 2, whilst light vehicles are useful, they're kind of like not enforced anymore. So there are situations where it's just not really feasible. But I think in Steel Division Normandy 44 it was always feasible to use your light tanks in the early game. Nice kill there. Pack 38 managing to find the shot onto this Panzer II. Yeah, is that a Panzer 1? Looks like a Panzer 1. Yeah, probably is. That might have been Protoss here with his Festung Großparis division. Which I guess is going to be helping pin down the Bewährungs. I'm a B1, currently trying to take care of the Panzer 35. Managing line of sight around these hedgerows, super important in this game. Got to be really careful, because if you take one step too far, and I'm going to have like all of these guys fire at me. Currently it's only the one on the right that's able to. Although this Panzer III gone a little bit too far there. Going to come under fire a lot. It's also going to get my B1 suppressed as all of the shots land nearby, and they're going to retreat in the wrong direction, and that's kind of unfortunate for me. Very vulnerable now in this position. They're struggling to fall back because of the river here. My B1's going to go down. My Pack 40 ends up shooting the 221 first. That wasn't great. I'm kind of in a bit of a bad position. In Steel Division 2, this would have been dead a long time ago. This is what I was talking about, like ranged tank accuracy can become sometimes a bit low, particularly if there's no veterancy involved. So all of these Panzer 35s just missing for days. It's kind of funny to watch sometimes. Anyway, we still managed to hold the 50-50 across the map so far. Fee's done a great job of like pushing over here and capturing a bunch of ground, and Harbinger's holding his line on the right-hand side. Forrest is having some issues still here, but he's starting to recover, starting to create a new baseline here that he can push back with. If we can get rid of this salient, then obviously that would help out a lot. But having lost my armor just here, I'm going to have to replace it. So I'm bringing up the Jagdpanzer IV. hoping to get that into a position on my side of the river that can start engaging all of these tanks. The half-tracks are going to be firing away as the Panzergrenz reveal themselves. Not a fun place to be for those Panzergrenz. They're going to be falling back, even under fire from the Pak 40. As long as I can stop J-Dog getting over here, I can repair my lines and go from there. I've also got this Pak 38 that's like slowly moving across to get line of sight onto these units. I'm using it to take out the half-track. There's something so satisfying in this game about killing enemy vehicles with AT. Or killing any units. I think it's just the way that the shots look and then the explosion of the enemy unit. Like, it's so clean. Have you watched this Churchill take on the Marder? That Marder's in a really bad spot. If it hits and gets the kill, you can just see like when it goes grey like that and then it blows up, and you can see it quite clearly. It's really cool. And then the Thunderbolt coming in there with the rockets. I think just in general, the way that the UI was presented in Steel Division Normandy 44 is very clean. And I think there are those people who still prefer it over the Steel Division 2 UI, which is a bit more simple, but I think with the Steel Division 2 UI, it's easy enough to read, right? It is still easy to read. It's just that the Steel Division Normandy 44 UI is just way more, I guess, kind of colourful. The colours are... there's a lot more saturation, I guess, compared to Steel Division 2. But Steel Division 2, much more gritty game, larger scale, lots of stuff going down in comparison. They're going to be able to take out the Panzer IV there, which is good. Panzergrenz, unfortunately, going to be getting a line of sight soon after. Pak 38 does manage to get its stealth back since he doesn't have any recon, it appears. But Panzer III is still trying to hold position here. Unfortunately, Churchill's going to go down to the AT gun on that side. My poor Western Lysander gets strafed to pieces by the Focke-Wulf 190. And my Panzer III does manage to kill off the AT gun, but then we get hit by Panzerfaust or something there, which is doing the damage to that Panzer III. Infantry now spreading out for J-Dog, forcing me to move back with the Pak 38, and I'm also forced to bring up some more infantry here. Now, another thing to consider in Steel Division Normandy 44 is that the decks are much more limited in number. The number of troops that you get in Steel Division 2 is like way higher. So generally games can last less time because of that limitation, and that's what I was saying about with the 50-minute or 60-minute time limit that I put. It's a little bit too much. Generally, Axis is favoured in longer games than Steel Division Normandy 44 because they have units that require more points to bring in. So they have like an overall higher amount of points they can spend than an allied division. It's not always the case. Like in my case with the Demi Brigade SAS, you can see it is a division that's made for Phase C, with the 80, 90 and 150 points per minute. Like on the right side here we have all of the incomes, and incomes are based on the division themselves, they're not chosen. So yeah, the Demi Brigade SAS is a late game division and has a lot of like late game US armoured units to back them up. And the whole idea of the Demi Brigade SAS is that in the early game you play very much like the Resistance. You use a lot of Resistance units to hold the line, and then as the game goes on you get access to your sort of reinforcements basically. I'm having a bit of a hard time here. Nice kill from the Panzertrack there onto the half-track. Jagdpanzer struggling to kill the Panzer I. So it must have been actually J-Dog's Panzer I over here before then, instead of Protos's. That would make sense. SAS Group FM. They're going to go down pretty fast, but I've got some more infantry on the way to try and back me up. Now on this left-hand side, I have brought in an off-map, but then I realised that Forrest had already brought his own, so I'm going to move mine back over to the right-hand side to help me break down some of J-Dog's units. Although Weeping has come over here with a Marder in this case to help out, and that is going to get my Jagdpanzer in a bad position. Just about managed to make him fall back though, and then that's going to push him out of line of sight. But Jagdpanzer with the track wheel damage, going to make it really slow. We're still managing to hold on to the 50-50 at this point, since the right hand side is a little bit advanced compared to the left, so it's kind of counteracting the push that Weeping has made here. The thing for me is just like consolidate and push back. J-Dog's still putting on the pressure though. There are some units here that I've kind of temporarily forgotten about. Got some nice 2-star SAS Chasseur Para though. Then decent numbers is really good at close range, but at this range the Panzergrenze are still good because they have the MG42s. My F5 partisans are going to get taken out there. And the Jagdpanzer also ended up going down to the Marder, I believe, or something else that was here. Definitely should have been running across here and rocketing that, but my bad, I suppose. Got an AT gun coming in here. Good look to unload and engage the Panzer II and the half-track. Yeah, eventually move over the rallies, get rid of the Marder. That's job done. And the maps in this game definitely allow you to play a lot more like ambush style, I guess. But you do need to make sure that your infantry at least can fight at close range if you're going to do that. And unfortunately my SAS, they're going to get pinned down. It's because they were already pinned in that engagement. I actually have one of these SAS Jeeps coming in. These things are actually not that good, but they're kind of like Mimi. They got like the double Vickers K on the front and the back. And they can pin down infantry very, very fast. But they also can die to infantry because they don't have any armor. Right, nice kill on the Panzer II, looks there with the Pak 38. Now going to be looking for the kill onto the 251 if we can find it. I'm also still waiting for a good place to put my off map because you can see the radius here isn't really ideal that far back. Chasseur Para though, with the Judbera, going to be able to get 3 vet, which is very, very nice. And with the M1 carbines, again, need to have close range engagements rather than long range engagements, really. In comes the Thunderbolt, looking to engage the Stug 3 on the left there. Very cool. Spitfire Mark 9, going to get forced back for the time being. With the 3 vet, even though we don't necessarily have like a long range engagement tool like a machine gun, still manages to chip the Panzergrenze a little bit. So it's not too bad. Meanwhile on the left, rallies though, they do have a machine gun. They're going to be able to try and engage these Panzergrenze, but just completely outnumbered for the time being. And 2 lots of Chasseur Para. I'm hoping we'll be able to overrun these at closer ranges. On the left side, Forrest managed to kill that Panzer IV, so it's going to give him a little bit of a chance to push up, although the Crocodile, if it bumps into a Panzerschreck, still might go down. I'm still having a hard time. Chasseur Para not surrendering because I do have the leader near enough. And the SS Jeep there going to engage. And does end up absolutely obliterating that unit, actually. That was nice. Alright, Panzer 1 has worked its way across. Going to be taking out another one of my SS Group FM. But now I got some more troops on the way. So we are into phase C, which means that I do have my 150 points per minute now. In terms of score, we're 331 points ahead. With things being at a 50-50, the points don't move anywhere, and there's 35 minutes left on the clock. So we got some work to do. But yeah, now it's the late game with the Demi Brigade SAS. I'm not going to be under as much pressure, because the income disparity between myself and J-Dog in Phase B was like 30 points per minute, which in Steel Division Normandy 44 is really quite significant. So that's why he's ended up building up such a big lead here against me at this point. As well as obviously just playing well. He's got his boy Sherman coming across. He's got his Panzer 1 leading the charge. He's got like pretty much everything he needs, like recon in front, infantry screening his tanks. Like it's pretty much perfect at this point. Although the 25mm there managing to kill an infantry squad before it gets pinned down. My DMA going to get killed there with its machine gun in it. It's going to force me to unload my other infantry squad early. I think the main thing here is making sure I continue to control the town at least, as it will give me a nice base to push back from. Right, Spitfire coming in with a bombing strike onto the Panzer 1, also going to rocket that. So we get the kill. Very nice. It's very, very difficult in this game to actually saturate armored vehicles with HE. So you really do have to go overboard. Like in Steel Division 2, that would have been one rocket plane and you're done. But in this, you really do need to go overboard in order to like HE spam something to death. And with 25mm, surprisingly still alive, does manage to get back. I've now got the Panards coming up. The reason I brought up the Panards was so that I could engage some of this armor at closer range cheaply, because these are only 50 points a piece, as opposed to like a big armored piece, which would be substantially more. This Pack 38 still in a good position here, getting a shot onto the half-track. M5 gun, unfortunately kind of having a hard time aiming at the Jagdpanzer 4, but eventually firing away there, looking for the kill. Has managed to find the armor or ammo explosion, so that's good. More units coming in, another couple of these SAS jeeps will help against these Panzergrens at least. You can see in this case, like the Panzerstreck looking for the shot onto the Panhard, but the jeep's going to take it out for us, so that was good. Lucky the Panzerstreck missed, but Panzerstrecks definitely aren't as accurate as they are in Steel Division 2. So, infantry still trying to get through for J-Dog. More reinforcements on their way. We've got a little strafing run coming in there for the SS, good up FM. Strafing run's another thing that's really not as potent in Steel Division Normandy 44. Pack 38 being that low on morale is not great. A cheeky little strike there for the P-47. Does kill off a half-track on the right-hand side and help pin down some of the Panzergrens. Pack 38 not going to be lasting too much longer. Now, we're going to be a little bit careful here. Like, the line of sight of the Jeep is okay. Like, it doesn't matter that much right now. But if the units start moving forwards, I'll start to see it. So I've got to get that to the right-hand side. And I'm going to drop the off-map now onto J-Dog's infantry in the forest there so that I can maybe try and push back in. But Forrest has done a good job of like recovering this left-hand side now. He's set up a defensive line. These units that are pushing him are getting punished, so that's good. And any that are breaking through are going to get shot by my AT gun, so Panzer 2 looks there surrendering when that shot missed. Just got to get rid of this little salient. I've got a couple of these M15s coming in to help with enemy aircraft as well, particularly the Focke-Wulfs, because I don't want them to shoot down my aircraft, of course. And now we have the first of my bigger tanks coming in, the M4A 376. Now you can see that this tank costs 180 points. Like if you compare it to like the Panhards that I was bringing in before, that's why I was bringing them in, because they're only 50 points a piece. But now I'm starting to, you know, just stack up some of my income. I can afford these more expensive tanks that cost like more than 1 minute worth. But then again, J-Dog's doing the same. He has managed to get himself a King Tiger, and that's going to be causing me issues here unless I can get close range with the armored rifles that I've now brought in as well. So bazooka, it's its time to shine, and well, he misses. It is of course pinned down a little bit, so not able to get the kill there. It was rather unfortunate. WW7 going to take a lot of fire from the M15s. Not going to be able to get the kill though. Now the Panhard M4A3 arriving. Got the SAS Gruppe trying to kind of move forwards here. I should have just had them get in a building. I think I maybe clicked this building and they decided to go that way around, so definitely left them in an awkward position. M4A3 round the corner here. It's not really good for the Stug. I'm going to take out one of the Panzer 35s as well, which is nice. If I can clean up the infantry, or sorry, the armor that's further back, the M4A3 should be able to deal with the Stug at close range. And, like, Shermans in this game had like a really crazy fast aim time. So if things try and peak a Sherman, generally it would be pretty fast. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring in the Spitfire, we're going to bomb the Stug, and then that's going to allow me to potentially push on that. I've also got my armored rifles that are going to be able to try and bazooka it, but unfortunately Panzergrenz managed to Panzerfaust the half-track. It forces the armoured rifles back, so that's kind of delayed that for the time being. M15 unfortunately going to get taken out by the Deutsche Sherman. 50 cal finishing it off. And well, nice shot by the Panhard. Gets the side shot on the Stug. And the M4A3 is going to finish it off. Yeah, really, really good push in here from J-Dog. Has definitely put me on the back foot. We're starting to make some ground back, like having killed both of those Panzer 35s, some half-tracks, the Stug, getting rid of a lot of these things that are in my way. Infantry is going to have to fall back from the town. But yeah, we just need to break down the rest of this armor now. Off-map is going to come in, try and give us a hand. Unfortunately lost the leader. Probably should have made sure that the weapons were turned off so it didn't get spotted. Another M4A3 on the way. Definitely need the armor. I also knew that this Panzer II was here from before, so I'm going to be trying to take that out, but the internal fragments and then the bailout, obviously not very helpful, so yeah, it's going to be up to my armored rifles to find and kill that off afterwards. In that case, basically the Panzer II was pre-aiming the Panhard whilst it went around the corner, because the infantry here probably could see it. So I was never really at an advantage in that engagement. But here comes my off-map. And that's going to help kind of pin down the things in the town. Okay. M4A3, 76, trying to engage the Deutsche Sherman. Does end up bouncing that. Yeah, again, the ranged engagements. They do have 1,200 meter range, but when you're engaging at max range, like even with veterancy there, you can see that the accuracy is limited. Armored rifle. Gonna get rid of that Panzer II at least. The Panhard gonna get the better of the Panzer 35 as it pushed around the corner. So slowly but surely breaking down a lot of this armor, and this off map is primed to be pretty damn good for me, because if I can get the pin onto some of these tanks, then my M4A3 can push forwards quite aggressively and try and take him out. That's the plan. Yeah, left side's relatively stable now. In the middle, Fee has done a really good job of breaking through here. That's definitely kept us in the game so far. The off-map just came down. It did pin down a couple of units, but now I'm looking for the engagement on the Panzer IV, and I'm going to put the Panhards around the corner to help with this engagement at close range. Unfortunately, a bit of a bounce there, and the Panhard's going to get killed off. M4A3 trying to get rid of the Flampanzer. Weeping did like YOLO these towards me. The Flampanzers can actually be super strong in this game because they can pin down infantry very fast. Very lucky in my case there to get a bounce from the Panzer IV onto my M4A3. And then we got a miss. That was because it was pinned down. Like, units that are pinned in this game are particularly inaccurate compared to like Steel Division 2, for example. So it's really struggling right now to kill the Panzer IVs off. This Panzer IV was on the left. Like this M5 gun actually had really good line of sight and helped out a lot over there. But the crew knock from the Panzer II, obviously not helpful. Putting my M4A3 in an awkward position. But now I've got 3 of these bad boys. So you can see I'm just saving up to counteract the armor. I know that my armor, particularly the M4s versus Panzer IVs, are going to be better at close range. I do have the penetration advantage over the normal Sherman as well, even though that kind of shares the aim time. And yeah, it was funny. When I was playing Steel Division Normandy 44, I was surprised how much that I remembered. Now, of course, it is quite similar to Steel Division 2 in a lot of ways. But there is a lot of sort of things to remember that are specific to Steel Division Normandy 44, like vehicle aim times, what's better, what's worse, the way that certain units interact with each other, particularly like AA versus aircraft, for example. Like, aircraft are a lot harder to shoot down in Steel Division Normandy 44. So there's a lot of things like that you've got to continuously think about, but here I'm going to get a track wheel damage again. Panzer IV did go down though, so we're now 3 against 1 there. In this game, like, forcing units to fall back, like aircraft to fall back, much more common than actually shooting them down. Because the way that it was designed in Steel Division Normandy 44 is that the AA is the defense, and then like, or the shield, I guess, is the way it was put, and the fighters are the sword. So you bring in a fighter to shoot down the aircraft once it's pinned, basically. So there was a lot more emphasis on like fighter versus fighter gameplay, particularly in 1v1s. So M3 is now coming in with more armoured rifles for me. I've got another M4A3 on the way. And I've got a couple of extra AA pieces just so that I can potentially shoot them down. It's going to take me way more AA to shoot down a plane in this game than it is in Steel Division 2. So really having to overcommit in order to get the job done there. We are at 51% right now. Still haven't managed to find another percent for the +1. So remaining at the 331 points. It's been an incredibly close game. And I guess it's just a testament to everyone who got involved. King Tiger there with a nasty shot onto the M4A3. Thankfully managed to take out the Boyd Sherman and then survive that shot somehow. This tank is not having a good time. You would not want to be that guy on the gun. Yeah, it was rough. There's not really much I can do here. He can be quite aggressive, honestly, with a King Tiger. As long as I don't manage to hit him with a like an AT weapon from an infantry squad, like, he should be fine. The other way, of course, for me to deal with it is with these bombers. So I've got the Mosquito. Mosquito's actually really good in this game. Nice fast bomber with a decent payload. So force the King Tiger to fall back, and then they're going to be looking for the side shots there. Meanwhile, armoured rifles trying to clean out the Panzergrenführer in the town. Get one shot towards the King Tiger, but it wasn't enough. Instead, going to be taking shots at the Panzer IV. Hopefully killing that off. Bockwolf coming to kill my Lysander. Does get hit really hard by the AA. But it is going to survive, as you can see. And this is what I was talking about with aircraft being much more resilient. Panzer IV does go down. Now the King Tiger's making another move, this time with the Marder 1. I'm managing to keep my Lysander up, which is nice to give me some good recon here. internal fragment hit is very nice. There is still like tank HP in this game, so getting internal fragments does make it easier for you to like kill them. A nice one shot there onto the second Marder 1. M4 A3 is really doing me proud. And the King Tiger's kind of struggling to get in a good position to engage my M4s, particularly with me using this sort of light cover here to keep my M4 A3s alive, but that one's not going to be staying alive for very long as it gets blasted by the King Tiger. Typhoon does come in with the rockets. Panzer IV is going to go down the left though, to this M4, I believe. Actually, it could have been probably the armoured rifles actually with the bazooka. Yeah, Spitfire coming in with the bombs. Typhoon going in with the rockets. King Tiger fall back again. In this case, the King Tiger, it was managing to get back around the corner every time, which was like breaking the line of sight that I had. Bit unfortunate. Two more M4A3s coming up. I'm really just starting to rely heavily on these American tanks to get back into this game, and slowly but surely we're breaking down the forces that J-Dog has. On the left you can see how well Forrest has done now to get back to the river here, so we have finally got that +1 with a 53%, and Weeping's gonna give up the game as he's probably run out of units there, or at least enough units to stop Forrest from pushing him back. M15. I'm going to be forcing back the D520, but the Wildwerfer actually really good for dealing with these kinds of AA units, because they can chip them slowly over time. Armoured rifle, trying to get the bazooka on target. I'm going to bounce. More rockets coming in from the Thunderbolts. And also the Typhoon. Spitfire coming with a bomber strike. King Tiger's still not dead, and you can see exactly how much these can soak. It's pretty nuts. M403. Oh, lovely shot there onto the Werflammen. Taking out those rockets. The Werflammens can be really scary in this game for sure. Now, a nice play here probably would have been to like smoke. There is smoke on some infantry squads in this game. On the right hand side here you can see all of the weapons. I could have smoked this and then run up and tried to grenade his tank, but probably would have got pinned down by the Gepard afterwards. Anyway, managing to clear out the remainder of the infantry on this left hand side, and now we're up to 54% in the game. So another 259 going down. I've also got the M3 half-track coming in here with the M5 gun. So going to be unloading that to try and move up towards this road to keep it covered. But again, armoured rifles missing their bazooka and bouncing the second one. Thankfully, this armoured rifle manages to get the side shot with its last bazooka round. We finally get that King Tiger down. M5 gun takes out the flak, which is nice. Unfortunately, the Pax killing the half-track does blow up next to my AAT gun and force that to be pinned down. Typhoon again coming in with a rocket strike onto a second King Tiger that's now joined the fray. But it was at this point that I noticed that J-Dog was relying quite heavily on leader infantry. What does that tell you in Third Division Normandy 44? It means that your opponent's probably out of infantry in general. So that's a good thing for me. Going to be getting my bombs off there to try and kill a couple of those. Managed to kill one with that bomb and pin down the rest. And now there's King Tiger, that's falling back. I just got to make sure that I don't lose to this unit, but it does manage to bail me out, so that was unfortunate. So on the left, this M5 gun was actually in a really nice position. You can fire all the way up this road to the bridges. Super good position. Perfect range there as well. Panzer IV G is going to go down. I did lose the other M4A3. But I'm now in a position where all of this stuff's pinned down and I'm able to kind of take it on, so... Just hoping for a side shot potentially onto the King Tiger if I can find line of sight. Another kill for the M4A3 as it takes out a Gepard. And there's also the Beuter Sherman still here. But we're getting to a point where we have cleaned up pretty much everything that J-Dog has on this side. Going to take out this Beuter Sherman. We're going to take out this Beuter Sherman. And now it's just the King Tiger that's relatively unsupported, that's even being artied here by Forest Priest. And I've got the Tempest also now coming in for the strafing run as well. Typhoon with the rockets coming in hot, looking for the kill with the M4A3. Just have to be really careful if there's anything in this tree line. And if the King Tiger's not pinned, then it's kind of difficult for my M4A3 to engage. Just waiting for the strafing run to come in there. Let me zoom in up. And these little like close range ambush tactics are exactly what Steel Division Normandy 44 is all about. Really fun game. Like, I was having so much fun playing this game again. It was really, really awesome. Obviously, things getting a little out of hand for our opponents now, with the left side gone. With us starting to push back against J-Dog. Fee still doing a great job here. And Harbinger holding the line on the right. We're up to 55%. And my half tracks are building up. All of my infantry is really building up, and my infantry, or sorry, my income advantage is starting to really take shape. There is another King Tiger to deal with, so we've got to get through that first. But my air force, as you can see in the bottom left, is certainly developed throughout the game, so we have ways to potentially deal with that once I need to. I've got my FFI saboteurs, some of the remaining partisan units. They're going to be pushing up. And the rest of these units are still going to be trying to make their way through the tree line there. Right, here come the Thunderbolts. Going to get kind of forced back a little bit by the 88, but not enough. But with that King Tiger pinned, a lot of aircraft going to be coming in. That is 4 Typhoon ATs, and you can see the King Tiger is still not down. Ludicrous engagement. But the M4A3 is ready, looking for the engagement on the King Tiger, and we're going to find the side shot. Really, really good. And the other thing that's quite interesting here, you see how well tanks do in direct engagements against like AT or AA. I mean, in this case, it's not actually an 88, it was like an M36, so that's probably why it was a lot easier for me to deal with. If that was actually an 88 and it hit my M4A3, then I probably would have lost it. I think it did end up hitting me, but yeah, with all the half-tracks arriving, there's a bunch of Spätrupp and Aufkläder, like J-Dog's lack of infantry showing even more now, and all of these poor guys just in really bad positions. Managing to make tons of ground. Big old push coming through here. Gonna be able to kill the Marder 1 there. Kill off the Wildwerfer with the machine guns. And there we go. J-Dog's line gets completely obliterated, but he certainly put up a hell of a fight. He had me on my toes.
Yes, sir.
When he had... I was basically back to here. At one point, like on my side of the town, pushed all the way back across the river. It was really nicely done, but yeah, thankfully my late game income saving me here. The +2 is now in play as we have gone over 58%. So starting to build up the score, but 11 minutes and 14 seconds left till the end of the game. So it's pretty much just playing cleanup now. So yeah, as I said before, this was an incredibly fun game. I really enjoyed messing around with the Steel Division Normandy 44 mechanics again, and kind of seeing what it was like back in the day, and reminding myself exactly why I loved this game so much. It was funny that Eugene actually invited me to an event in London when they like first showcased this game with Paradox, and I always remember that because it was like the first time that I'd ever been invited to basically a show, and I had like VIP access to the show because of the invitation, and it was just so cool. And yeah, I got to play the game, and then I played the game for the first time, and I was like, this is awesome. Like, I am a big fan of this game already. And then they went on to obviously bring out all of the different divisions on the release, and yeah, moving on to Steel Division 2 and now Warno, things have, in my opinion, only got better. I mean, maybe Warno it's still in the works, of course. But yeah, well, my M403 is here, definitely getting a bit overzealous. With the tank dying next to my other tank, it definitely caused me problems, and the M403 ended up falling back in the complete wrong direction, so yeah, both of those M403s going to go down, and my Tempest here not going to last against the D520, so that was my bad. But yeah, you did see Protoss surrender. He gave up the game. I mean, of course, it's 63% now. That like the front's completely broken. I think Protoss was getting low on infantry as well. Like that's generally what ends up happening. Still, if you don't know, normally 44 is people just run out of infantry, and it just turns into the armor game, and then whoever wins the armor game wins. Particularly if it goes like for a long game, like this one has, over like 50 minutes or so now. So we're currently, I think, 51 minutes into the game. It was like an hour long, and like 9 minutes remaining. So yeah, usually it would be like a 40-minute game in Steel Division Normandy 44. Games are generally quite a lot shorter than Steel Division 2. But with the M1A1 coming in, I've got 3 of these M1A1 leaders. We're going to be able to kill off all of these Marders as they come around the corner there. And again, just cleaning up J-Dog's resistance on the far side of the map here, just trying to look for the +3 potentially to finish the game ASAP. Another Marder 1 going down. Yeah, the reason I brought in all of these M1A1s, I think, is because I actually ran out of M4A376s at this point. I bought all of them in, which is pretty nuts. Like, usually you wouldn't do that because they cost 180 points and you only get 150 points per minute. So yeah, especially with all of these aircraft that I bought throughout the game as well. Challenger, 16 AP on this boy. Managing to get the better of the Jagdpanzer there. Got the crew wound. Gonna end up bouncing that one though. Not getting the kill. Yes, sir. Yeah, it's like so much nostalgia in this game for me. We've got them. I had a lot of fun during the life cycle of this game. The game's not even that old, really. I mean, it's like, I think it's like 5 years old or so. But yeah, moving on to like Steel Division 2. Things are so much more like larger scale in Steel Division 2, and it's nice to come back to Steel Division Normandy 44 sometimes to sort of relive the sort of hedgerow knife fighting that this game really does well. One thing that is so unique in this game. I think it's one of the strategy games actually that did a good job of kind of representing the sort of close range engagements in a tactical strategy setting. Like with the way that the tree lines work and the cover works and the line of sight.
My engine is on fire.
And now I'm just moving these M4s over from left to right just to see how much of this terrain I can gain before the end of the game here. So we're currently on 67%, which is now +3. Only one player left, I believe, at this point on the enemy team, which was just J-Dog. Lysander's finally going to go down to the D520s as the AI has now taken over. What am I going to be coming in there? The 50 cows of the M4A1 certainly helping, but not preventing the bombing strike. Now we've got my Mosquito coming in to try and pin down the Brumbier. Tempest actually strafing the Gepard there, going to be bombing that as well with the Mosquito. Slowly but surely breaking things down. And what a game it was. Of all the games that I could have asked for to play during my stream, my 10-year anniversary stream, this was probably the best one I could have asked for, with like how long it lasted and how close it was for so long. It was actually really, really awesome. Yeah, now just again, still cleaning up units here. The artillery here, just moving forwards. The M4A3 is going to take care of the Brumbier. More infantry on the way. I did still have a bunch of infantry left at this point. Like, this division can go quite deep. It's because of its income and because of the units that it gets. Just as more units come around the corner, constantly getting popped. That's pretty much it. M5 gun, moving up into position. And J-Dog was just kind of bringing in AA at this point. He's going down to like the last unit in his deck. Every time something came around the corner, just getting annihilated. Panzer IV going down that time. 231's gone down before. Took out the Mobilwagen. Yeah, that's it. J-Dog finally surrenders. And we get the major victory after 56 minutes and 1 second. But yeah, a huge thank you to everybody who played in this during my stream. It was really, really cool to get a solid 4v4 game going of Steel Division Normandy 44. I was aiming to get a 10v10, but as I mentioned at the start, the player base is a little bit lacking in numbers, so organising a 10v10 is quite difficult. You kind of have to do it in advance, and I didn't really plan that far in advance for this. So yeah, managed to get enough people for a 4v4 at least, which was really cool. And in the end, 9,133 kills to 3,280 losses, but just farming a lot of those King Tiger kills, I guess. My M4 A3s really saved the day. Like, if I just come down here, you can see how many kills all of these M4 A3s got. It was just absolute clean up for me with these M4 A3s. It was so important. The 76s are so good. So good. I did end up losing quite a lot to these Panzer 1s and the Panzer 4s here. So J-Dog definitely put me under a lot of pressure early on with his like light vehicles and a lot of these Panzergrens coming forwards. But then ultimately he ran out of infantry, so he couldn't really support his armour very well after that, and it allowed me to get quite aggressive with my Panzer 4s, or with my M4s, sorry. But yeah, that is it. A look at Steel Division Normandy 44 once again. And I'll probably come back to Steel Division Normandy 44 again in the future. I do have plans to play it again on my stream, so you guys might see more gameplay from Steel Division Normandy 44 again. It's just a really fun game which offers a completely different style of warfare to Steel Division 2. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.